It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Florida, and I would just like to say thank you to everyone who joins us every day here at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. The best audience on YouTube, bar none. Those of you who are members over at the Patreon channel, a brand new video was posted this morning. If you haven't seen it, go over, log in, and check it out. It is a wholly new topic that's really going to make a lot of people uneasy. But if you look at the information critically, you'll see something that virtually nobody has seen, even though the information has been right in front of everyone this entire time. If you would like to join us over at Patreon, it is only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. It's only about $11 for a whole year's worth of content, and we post over there at least once a week. I think this particular video, everyone is going to want to see. This is going to be the thumbnail that you look for. We're talking about this area down in the center of Florida called the Villages, and a certain paradigm that has occurred that you wouldn't think would be possible. Now, who remembers this image? I'm sure a lot of people do. It was right after the Japanese surrender, World War II. It was the epitome of romance for decades, of course, until the woke crowd got a hold of it. You see this fella right here? Planting one on this nurse? Look over his shoulder. Do you see this woman right here? This is his date. In fact, this woman here was completely not bothered in any way, shape, or form by seeing her date kiss this nurse. They were married for over 70 years. That's right. This guy right here, George Mendonça, the kissing sailor, he was on a date with this woman right here and ended up marrying this woman. And they lived happily ever after, even with this picture out there. Now, you'd have to ask yourself, how could that be? Most modern women would have been all ruffled and upset and huffy. How dare you just walk up and kiss a woman when you're on a date with me? These people came from a different era with a different sense of what a big deal is and what isn't a big deal. Some of the smartest people on the planet, some of the best decision makers that have ever lived down in the Villages. How do we know this? The average credit score down there is 806. You know what that means? They paid their bills. They made good decisions. They didn't go into debt. They weren't frivolous people. They knew how to run a life. They knew how to organize a life, how to stay together, and what the important things were. Now, I'm not going to give away too much of our Patreon video, but something happened in the Villages that is directly contradictory to what you have been told about a certain paradigm out there. And I want to give a big shout out to someone who noticed this right away. In the last video, I referenced this, and I only said the Villages, but she saw it immediately and made a comment about it. And I'll leave these images up, and you can make your own determinations about what they mean. But this is Julia_FL here on YouTube, and I believe it's just Julia FL, Juliah FL, saw this immediately and knew what it meant. Now, this is her channel here, 104 subscribers. Probably should get quite a few more. Truly, because posts regular content, shorts and regular videos, and has been for quite some time. It's a very, very interesting thing to see. The Villages, that area, is about 10-1 female to male. But there's a very interesting way that they live life down there. It is a democratic socialist utopia. Oh, they don't advertise it as that. They don't put up those names, but I'll tell you this. They drive around in all pretty much the same vehicles, golf carts. And there's about 3 different versions. There's a 2-seater and a 4-seater. I think there's one that might even have 6. And they all basically live in the same kind of house. And they have the same lawns and the same appliances. And they all have the same rules about what they can and what they can't do with their lawns. Nobody has a huge, giant, sprawling 6-acre place and somebody else has a 1/4 acre right next to it. It doesn't work that way. They have community pools and there are rules for those pools. It is truly what was envisioned a long time ago of what a socialist utopia could be, yet 98% of these people voted for Donald Trump. 98% of the people in the villages voted for Donald Trump. The guy who was railed against socialism, even though they live, most of them, off of Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare and a whole other slew of socialist programs in an environment controlled by community organizations with all sorts of little rules about what you can and can't do, how you can drive, how fast you can go, where you can go. But funny story, do you remember when I put out this scenario about a grid down, power down situation, and your group has caught these young 7, 8, 9-year-olds peeping Tom? See, I know some folks from down there, and I know some folks this age. And every single one of them I asked, what would you do? What would you do? They'd say, well, yeah, we'd wear them out. We would absolutely wear them out. We would give them a home. We'd give them a home, and we'd give them a bed to sleep in and food to eat and care and probably, eventually more hugs and kisses than they could probably ever handle. But at that moment in time, that's how they would handle it. But most of the people from my era and younger were like, well, we would talk and we would have a discussion about... Didn't hear one of them say anything like that at all. And when you look at the villages from the air, it is literally, you see just house after house after house after house after house after house after house that all look the same way. The yards look the same way. The streets are all pretty and manicured. They have sections. And most of the people that live here describe it as a utopia. That it's like waking up in Disney World every single day, and they love life here. Then there's another aspect, I'm not, like I said, it's for the Patreon audience only, about this that is even a greater expression of personal socialism and sharing. The best decision makers are those who are willing to suffer the most over their decisions, but still retain their ability to be decisive. Meaning we're going to make a decision and we're going to go forward and that's what we're going to stick with. And we're going to hold to that no matter what. Marriage is a relationship between a man and a woman. I don't think it is the role of state to define what marriage is. John Sentamu, I think most people would agree with this. But it's also not the purview of me or you or someone's brother or someone's sister or cousin to say what marriage vows should and should not be. If two people get together, whatever vows they want to make and whatever conditions they want to set forth between them, that's up to them. Is that not the case? See, it would be really hard for someone like you or me, like I'm in my 50s, for example, or younger, to start waggling fingers or pontificating at people that were 20, 25, 30 years our senior. See, these people have been talking to each other for a long time. And they've seen a lot of things come and go. And this really pertains to what we talk about over at Patreon. That'll be the key. You go watch that video. It'll make sense. You can't judge them. You cannot judge them on their decisions because the proof is in the pudding. They're good decision makers. They are some of the best. Now, who remembers, and this will be the last hint I give, the song, The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, way back in the 70s. If you haven't heard the song, the two of you, the premise is that there's this guy, and he's married to a woman, and he leaves town for business or whatever reason. And while he's gone, she plays the field. He comes back. He learns of this from some guys in a bar. And his little sister knows about it and is all upset and goes and commits a double murder on his behalf without even consulting him about it. And nobody asked the question, what if it wasn't a problem? What if they had an agreement? What if that was the reason he went out of town to begin with? See, people take their own morality sometimes and apply it to others. And then when other people's morality doesn't line up with theirs, they interject themselves into it. But I would like to ask this question. By the way, well done, Julia. Well done for seeing it literally immediately. Why would this be the case? And it's why we started way back here. See, this was the late 40s. Remember the good old days when everything was all so moral and all so right and all so good, and everybody went to church every Sunday and nobody made any mistakes like they do now? This woman, over his shoulder right back here, ended up marrying this guy and staying with him for 70 years. This was not a big deal to her. Ask yourself why that's the case. And if you don't believe me, look up the story. Look up the story of George Mendonça, the kissing sailor. He passed away not too long ago, but the story is out there. Go look it up. And you'll see a whole different view of where these people came from, what they believed, and why they made the good decisions they did that led to what we have now. I'll leave it there. God bless. Have a happy Sunday. Like, share, subscribe. Join us, please, over at Patreon. The video today that we do over there will put the glue on this and make it all make sense for you. $1 per month. If you sign up for a whole year, it's even less. Fully refundable after 90 days, no questions asked. You don't have to wait 90 days, but up to 90 days, refundable. Would love to have you there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.